We are 22S Radio. 22S Radio is 22smedia.com and 88.1 FM, KKJZ HD3, Long Beach, Los Angeles.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, and now, our World Broadcasting Tag Team Champions of the World and a Cruiserweight Champion. I finally found it.
I'm Ethan.
I'm James.
I'm Rob.
And this is episode 127 of Beyond the Ropes. I hope that's 127. If not, it is what it is. Of course, I am your host, Ethan. You can follow me on Twitter at EthanME95. Welcome back, our analyst, James. Where can they find you?
Well, there's a lot of places you can find me, but you can find me on Instagram and on Twitter at JHWReporter.
And you can follow our producer, Rob, at
Rob Flores Media, because we're supposed to have one name here.
I'm a very complex individual, and I don't want people following me on Instagram. I made this clear last week, Rob, when we were recording. I don't want people on my Instagram.
If you guys want to know Ethan's Instagram, you can go ahead and follow me again at JHWReporter. I'll be more than happy to pass that along and make sure that you bump up those follow numbers for young Ethan Ortiz over there.
My profile is locked, so they would have to request. So
send a request. He'll be more than happy to have you and approve you, and he will definitely not leave you on pending.
He accepts photos of our truth in DMs.
Well, speaking of our truth, he got destroyed this past Monday on Raw, but we'll talk about that later on. Yes, of course, we are in different locations right now because of everything going on in the world. Hopefully, everyone is taking care of themselves. Everyone is safe. And hopefully we'll get back to some normalcy very soon. All right, let's talk about the big news that was announced this past week. Of course, I am talking about the official, I don't know if this is necessarily a merger, but more of, I guess, the WWE Network in the US is now officially folding into NBC Universal's Peacock streaming service. This kind of came out of nowhere. I didn't know they were in talks for this to happen. However, there has been a partnership between WWE and NBC Universal for decades now. Of course, we go all the way back to Saturday Night's Main Event in the 80s. Obviously, Monday Night Raw has been on USA Network for years, as well as NXT and SmackDown in the past and all that stuff. So, and in recent months, we've had WWE Network content shown on Peacock. I believe they've gotten like some documentaries there and stuff, but it's official, at least in the US. The WWE Network will no longer be its own entity. James, comment?
Yeah, I think wasn't even a thing. I think even like last year during like WrestleMania or some of the weeks leading up, they were showing old WrestleManias on. Was that on NBC? That
was on ESPN.
Was it? I thought they did something on like some local.
They might have done something on Peacock leading up to it too.
Yeah, on NBC or whatever it was, something like that. But I think even since then they had done something like that more recently too. Beyond the last
I think they have done.
I think about it.
They have done some WWE related content, like airing vintage footage in the past. They have, but yes. So I'm pulling up this story. The first site that I heard it from was Variety. So I'm going to their site right now. This was written by Todd Spangler. So this was released this past Sunday. NBC Universal's Peacock soon will be the only place to watch WWE Network in the US. WWE and NBCU reached a multi-year agreement giving Peacock exclusive streaming rights to the WWE Network for American viewers. The over-the-top wrestling entertainment service's existing U.S. subscribers, about 1.1 million in total, will be migrated over to Peacock Premium, where they'll continue to get access to WWE Network, but will pay 50% less per month while getting full access to the version of Peacock Premium tier with ads. Peacock will launch WWE Network on March 18, 2021, when Peacock will begin the rollout of more than 17,000 hours of WWE Network new, original, and library programming, both on demand and on a new 24-hour channel. The NBCU streamer will have all WWE live events for no additional charge, including WrestleMania and SummerSlam, with Fastlane being the first event to stream on Peacock Sunday, March 21st. WWE fans who would prefer to order events via traditional pay-per-view will still have that option. And then the story continues. WWE Network will be available on Peacock Premium, which includes ads for $4.99 per month, half the price of WWE's network. WWE Network's current $9.99 per month pricing. However, there is a no commercial option. Peacock Premium Plus, which costs $9.99 a month, will also be include the WWE Network. So let's see. The company's plans to share details of how existing WWE Network subscribers in the U.S. will be switched to Peacock in the next few weeks. Nothing will change for WWE Network subscribers outside of the U.S. Financial terms of the Peacock/WWE Network pact were not disclosed. According to sources, it's a 5-year deal with more than $1 billion over that time period. That's a huge deal. Let's see. So that's kind of basically it here.
Not to cut you off, but I think, like I said, the $1 million deal is a lot of money. And, I believe this is their third $1 million deal, $1 billion deal in the last year or two. The one with Fox was a big one. And then what was not?
They have like 3 existing. They have
the Saudi Arabia one. No one knows the numbers on that, but that could, however much that's worth. I don't know. Was the USA Today? Not USA Today. USA Network.
USA's $1 billion for Raw and NXT.
Is it?
Oh. It adds up to $1 billion over the 5 years.
Right. Okay.
And now this one over 5 years, that's $1 billion. So over the next 5 years, WWE is roughly making about what, 3-4 billion just on television stuff.
Yeah, just on television. And obviously a lot of people aren't very happy with the product right now. If you look at the January 25th rating for Raw, it was 1.8 million. So, we're not in the Attitude Era days where they had numbers that were higher than that, but it's enough obviously to please the networks, I guess, with the numbers that they've been able to produce. Obviously you know what you're getting when you purchase the network, and what, not only what's already on there, which is more or less the guarantee if you're the Peacock side of things, but also what you're going to be getting, and as someone who has subscribed to the network more or less since day one, it's kind of crazy that I think we're on like year 6 or 7 already, which is kind of surprising. I didn't realize that I've watched 6 or 7 WrestleManias, because I think the first big pay-per-view, or the second one, I think was WrestleMania. They might have kind of like what they're doing this time around. I think it was like a Fastlane or Elimination Chamber. May have been.
It was the Takeover.
Was it?
It was an NXT. It was NXT Arrival,
which was the first like live show. But I think the first like big show that you couldn't mess, like I think it was WrestleMania. It was like you can't mess, like if something goes wrong, it could be bad, but it went well. But I mean, to think that we've had 6 or 7 of those and things have gone well, I'm not entirely surprised. As you kind of mentioned, maybe it did kind of come out of nowhere, the deal. But in a way, you maybe aren't totally surprised, considering we started seeing some stuff on Peacock already, some selected options, or some limited options. But I heard there was, I guess, some, just from watching or seeing things on Twitter, I think it might have been on YouTube with one of the YouTubers I watch, who kind of mentioned maybe the numbers for the network as far as maybe subscribers and stuff, it kind of plateaued a little bit, and we're kind of getting kind of stagnant there. And then they had the free option kind of come about, which I really wasn't thrilled about as someone who was paying, is it $9.99 still, or whatever the phrase was back in the day. Just to react on the deal itself, though, I'm not against a cheaper price for the network, especially if if everything is going to be there. But I am curious and this was something else I got off. I heard on YouTube. It was mentioned by Good Mike Work, who's someone I watch on YouTube, who mentioned, are we going to see ECW content? Are we going to see some of that edgier stuff on maybe a more family friendly kind of Peacock app, and with some of the other content that they have that is non-wrestling, obviously, you may have some kids on there who are watching it, only for them to maybe stumble across something like ECW for the first time. Maybe that'll be kind of when you have the options like on a Netflix or somewhere you have the kids only edition or something, maybe they can kind of set that option and kind of stash some of that. Ethan, did you have I think you raised your hand, you may have had an answer to that situation.
Yeah, so one of the YouTubers I watch, I guess I read something from another site, basically saying it would be all the WWE, WCW, and ECW pay-per-views, basically the same as what they have now.
Okay.
So there is, I think 17,000 hours sounds like pretty much everything they have now.
I mean, it would have to be everything, and I would assume that means like your Nitros, your
everything. Yeah.
I guess ECW. I don't think there was a name other than the ECW show, weekly shows, but yeah, I would assume everything's gonna be on. I just feel like you're just picking up one pile and you're putting it over here. So, are you just slapping warning labels on the ECWs and not just ECW, but I mean the Attitude Era stuff as well, and etc. So.
Well, stuff with the Benoit too. I mean, I think even anything that he was aired with him, they gave some warning.
They did put warnings on that. So, yeah.
I will say, yeah. So basically, if you're a subscriber right now, paying $9.99 per month, you're not going to be under the premium tier, which is $4.99 per Peacock. You do get ads, but of course, you can just upgrade for $5 more, paying the same price you're paying now. Commercial free, and you get all the content that Peacock has, which right now, I mean, The Office is like the big deal.
Oh, right. That's what The Office just moved over from Netflix to the Peacock app, which I don't know for sure if that was something that boosted, people getting over to Peacock already, but I'm sure, when you have an audience like the Office audience and just whoever else for whatever other shows on there, it's a good opportunity for the WWE to get some more eyeballs that way. So, there's potential for it.
And Peacock has, if I'm not mistaken, 26 million subscribers. Now, I will say certain people, I think, who have Comcast get it for free.
Okay.
So there's a free option as well for Peacock. So I don't know how many people. Of course, you don't get the network content under the free tier. It has to be the $4.99 tier. So it varies. And you mentioned earlier about money in terms of that. Right now, as we mentioned, 1 million subscribers on the network in the US.
I think so. Yeah.
Something like that. And they're making now $1 billion, roughly $250 million a year over the next 5 years with this. And that's just in the US. They still have subscribers outside of the US.
Which is just as big, if not maybe bigger, just because, in some of those other countries and stuff aren't watching maybe an AEW or Impact or whatever the case may be. So
it's a lot of money. It's a great business decision for them, especially over the last couple of years. As you mentioned, the Fox deal, the USA deal that they already had, the Saudi Arabia deal, whatever that is. I mean, I obviously haven't been over there in a while, but that's still going, and all the revenue they make from merchandise and YouTube and everywhere else they make profits from. It's a lot of money.
But I think that's kind of too the disappointing thing about, which maybe now maybe makes a little bit more sense, but when you consider Twitch and what they did with that and kind of taking some of those other outlets or creative outlets or opportunities money-wise away from the wrestlers, maybe it makes sense. I mean, I could see maybe why now they would do something like that, because maybe you don't want there's a lot of different names of people who are streaming on Twitch and stuff, but maybe you don't want them acting out or being different because now you're in a way under that, what is it, the MAC or the Peacock umbrella, more or less. So maybe that's part of it, but at the same time, they have been making gaming content and having, some more up, down sort of content be some sort of, almost, I guess, maybe not live, but maybe live, but making it a series on the network. One thing I am disappointed about actually going to the commercials first real quick. I guess if it's $10 for no commercial, maybe I'll get the ad free, but if you don't have ad free, are you going to get ads on WrestleMania? Are you going to miss some of the action? Are they going to maybe do a little side window of the action while the commercial is going on? I can see it for some of the other, for your older Nitro, Raw and stuff like that, where you slide some commercials in between. But just for, some of the live stuff, how is that going to play out? I'm kind of curious.
I feel like the WrestleMania and the pay-per-view stuff is still going to play out like a regular pay-per-view. They might have ads in general, like they usually do have some sort of ad in every pay-per-view where they play it on their own, but where you won't miss any of the action. I don't think they'll cut it off. I think, yes, for everything else, they will, interrupt and everything. But I think for the pay-per-views, because they still have the traditional pay-per-view outlet, and in that outlet, you don't get commercials. So I think they're going to still follow that for pay-per-views.
But speaking of commercials, we are running up on a commercial here in a minute. But I think just to add on to that for a second, I think it maybe not. It won't be completely terrible. I mean, with a lot of like Nitro and Raw and stuff like that, a lot of that had commercials back in the day, and you had a lot of those segments maybe still in there. Where we'll be right back, and then they just jump right back into the action. So maybe you'll just kind of see, whoever is going to be tasked with doing that. Making sure there's commercials during those certain spots. I don't know how specific they'll be with that kind of stuff, but it'll be interesting. Just, just another big question mark going into that. But like I said, we are running up on a commercial. So Ethan, go ahead.
Well, before we go there, I want to make a prediction here, or not a prediction, but a suggestion. Can we get Michael Scott running WWE from The Office? Are we going to get a crossover between The Office and WWE?
Hey, I wouldn't be against it, even if it's just, let him be in charge of 205 Live or something. Give me a reason to watch. I'm not against it. The man he ran a solid paper company.
Right. He survived. He survived for sure.
He survived. I mean, times are hard, but.
You mentioned giving us a reason to watch 205 Live. Well, the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic, a couple of matches occurred this past week. I still have not caught up to it, but I'm probably going to have to go back and watch those. Speaking of the Tag Team Classic, when we return, we are going to discuss the new women's Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic as well as the men's classic that has been going on over the last few years. We'll talk about that. Maybe we'll talk about some more rising stars like, I don't know, Bianca Belair or this young
Bill Goldberg. I've heard quite a bit.
Young upstart Bill Goldberg.
Yeah, young upstart, a blue chip. I heard.
What a future he has. All right.
The white meat babyface from Atlanta, Georgia, wherever he's from.
All that and more right here on Beyond the Ropes. We are 22West Radio. 22West Radio is 22westmedia.com and 88.1 FM KKJZ HD3 Long Beach, Los Angeles. Welcome back to episode 127 of Beyond the Ropes. I'm your host, Ethan. I'm joined alongside the analyst, James, and of course our producer, Rob, as well as our timekeeper there. You can follow me on Twitter at EthanMB95. You can follow James at
JHW Reporter.
And Rob at
Rob Flores Media. One name here. We're supposed to have one name.
There's no rules about having multiple names here, okay? So you can also follow the show at RealBTR Radio on Twitter, Facebook.com/Beyond the Ropes, and just search up Beyond the Ropes on YouTube, and you'll find over 125 episodes currently uploaded there. Of course, we are BTR Pro Wrestling Talk, and we are all in our little bubbles here. Of course, I'm inside a WWE ring, as you can see. I'm getting ready. I'm getting, ready for some action here. James is in a closet somewhere with Charmander here, playing.
Just trying to be a Pokemon master, okay? Let me be. Mind your business.
And Rob's in the studio for some reason, phasing in and out. But we were having issues last episode, where the studio. Your gimmick, the whole gimmick just fell apart because
you lost your gimmick.
Yeah, the whole studio just phased in and out last week, so we were having issues there. But that's what happens when you miss an episode, James. Just ruin the whole flow of everything.
I just try to hold the show together as best I can. I'm gone for 1 week and
the whole thing falls apart.
Look, I was on a Pokemon adventure. I was just trying to train my Pokemon, and I was minding my business.
The radio listeners have no idea what we're talking about, but anyway, go find us on YouTube. You'll
Find us on only the best for the listeners here on the Beyond the Rope show.
On demand. See, like WWE Network, they have a live feed, of course, and we have a live feed on the radio. But now we also have a 24-hour demand service.
Yeah, but see, so yeah, you mentioned that before the break, we were talking about the network and the new deal. Obviously, was it 5 years for that will total up to $1 billion, not $1 million, but $1 billion. With the move from WWE's own in-house app and network over to Peacock. So yeah, I think I guess I don't know. I'm not fond of the 24-hour thing is cool. I know that's something they wanted to do way back in the day. Maybe like when I was in middle school or high school, where they wanted to have their own channel the same way you would have an NBC or a Fox Sports or a USA Today or CNN or something. But I think they kind of punted on that at the time and kind of had a vision, maybe obviously for this network. But even on the network, they did have a constant kind of thing of like,
there's a feed. Yeah,
they had the feed, right? It was like a nonstop thing, and they would theme it maybe based on certain things. But do they have that? I feel like since they've last updated the app, I haven't really seen that.
Yeah, the way their interface looked, it looks
because they
different.
changed it completely.
They changed it, but yes,
maybe
there's an ongoing feed still airing. If you want to just watch now, you can watch whatever they have airing. So it's going to be the same thing from my understanding on Peacock. They'll have their own little channel or hub, and you can click on that, and it'll be the same thing there.
And that's the thing I'm kind of iffy about. I mean, maybe it'll work out a lot better than it kind of sounds right now. And I mean, there's maybe some, maybe we had the same kind of thing when the network first came out, how it was going to work, how it was going to look. I mean, there's enough confidence right now with Netflix and Hulu and everything else that I'm sure they'll do a great job. But I don't want to be going through a bunch of hoops and loops just to even find the content. There needs to be a very easy tab or something, that's going to be one of the biggest things maybe I'll miss about the WWE Network app and just in general. If this if the content's not going to be on the WWE app anymore, like it needs to be very obvious, like very easy for me to find, or maybe have a way for me to, the same way you can change your browser or your home pages when you open your browser on your computer, maybe have a setting like that on the Peacock app, where when I'm opening the Peacock app, it will immediately kind of lead with the WWE stuff. Because The Office is cool. The Office is great. All the other shows they're going to have. But I'm going to, it wasn't my option, but I'm being put on to the Peacock app for WWE content. Please make it very easy for me to find. Please and thank you.
Yeah, NBC obviously has a lot of money that they're putting in, especially when it comes to WWE content. So we would hope that they would definitely put them in a nice little spot on Peacock and give them, a good place, I guess, for us to find them.
I think that just with it though, it's like, I guess part of me just kind of, I don't know, but I just kind of wish maybe there was something that could have been done, or maybe they can do, like the Disney Plus, ESPN Plus, and there's some other one I'm forgetting, where you were even able to get a package of the three of them.
Hulu, I believe.
Was it Hulu? It was like Hulu, Disney Plus, and ESPN Plus for what was a reasonable, I think, maybe $9.99 or something at the time. Looking back, I should have got that. But maybe if they did something, I'm just kind of not a big fan of stuff leaving the WWE app, if that's what's happening. And then what are they going to do with the app?
Here, I feel like, okay, so this is the Disney Plus app. Here, I have my phone.
Okay.
I don't have the ESPN Plus deal, but I have, basically this is what it looks like. So if you're watching on YouTube, here it is. Basically, I feel like it could be something like this, where they have it separated in its own little.
Okay, I can see that.
They have a classic Disney, Pixar, Marvel, Star Wars, and National Geographic hub.
Okay.
So I'm sure it'll be something like that for the network.
So I can get behind that. Like that's more than okay with me, you know, because I'm just opening the app. I'm doing, you know, I know I'm gonna have to click around to find what I want anyways, but just as long as it's, you know, one of those little 5 buttons or something like that,
Mhm.
I'm all for it. I don't, you know, if anything, I guess I gotta download the Peacock app just, you know, whenever, just to kind of see what it currently looks like. I don't expect them to drastically change it, and just because WWE and the WWE network is coming to town, but at the same time, when you're spending $1 billion on this, you know, I would at least think for the first year or so, you're going to feature it pretty heavy and whatnot. And another thing that's just coming to mind, who's still buying pay-per-views? Like, just buy that Peacock app, because you're going to spend $40 on whatever anyways. I think if you look at the Conor McGregor fight that happened not too long ago, he got knocked out in the second round. I'm not paying $50 for that. Thankfully, you probably didn't have to, because I think maybe they did have a pay-per-view option, but no, that was just an ESPN Plus thing. So you would have only paid like $10, $12, and I would have been okay with that. But I'm not paying $40 or $50 for any sport, any pay-per-view, boxing, MMA, pro wrestling, with all the apps and other options. So buy the Peacock app or use the rest of the, if you have the WWE network, be thankful with the switch over to the Peacock app, because it could be worse. But I digress.
James, my sources tell me Rob still buys traditional pay-per-views.
Rob, sir, is this true?
I don't even have cable.
We'll talk about it. You don't need, that's the great thing. You don't
That's
need
a great thing now,
cable.
Rob. You can now get Peacock for $5 a month.
But no, but like that's the whole
He thought I was
point.
gonna say he bootlegs or something.
Well, listen though, that's the whole point. Is that, you know, people are cutting the cord, people are moving on from cable, and that's why you have people that's why you have Netflix being so popular, Hulu, whatever other, you know. Now there's Disney Plus, there's the
HBO
Peacock,
Max.
there's ESPN, there's Cinemax Plus and Showtime
HBO
Plus and
Max.
HBO Max and whatever else. So yeah, I mean, all these channels are making their own, which again is why it's kind of surprising, considering how much money WWE has made with all the other deals. But I mean, when $1 billion is knocking on your door once again, you take it. But again, you know, why are they letting wrestlers go? Why are they letting, you know, I understand, I mean, if you're not going to use them, but I don't know. If I'm a wrestler, I'm kind of looking like, but at the same time, you really can't go anywhere else, because everyone else I mean, maybe you'll get the same contract you would, and maybe you'll get used if you're not being used on WWE, but there's more opportunity, because look at the time. I mean, AEW has what, one TV show, and then there's the After Dark or Dark Show or whatever on YouTube. But I mean, outside of that, I don't know. WWE is still the place to be, obviously, even if you're just there for a run or two. But I don't know. Maybe there'll be more money. Stop giving money to Goldberg. I'm sorry, and Brock Lesnar.
Well,
you heard it here first, folks.
There it is. There's James with the hot topic of the week there.
The hot topic, hot tag, hot stuff.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic, shall we?
Yep. Another hot topic.
This has been going on for a few years now, in the men's tournament at least. This a few weeks ago was announced. The women's tournament was also going to happen. The first ever Dusty Rhodes Women's Tag Team Classic. It's been underway. Let's break down some of these. I know you guys haven't really seen any of these matches as far as I know. I've seen a couple. The first round in the men's tournament happened on January 13th. So it was, 2 weeks ago now. But of course, my boys, the guys that are going to go all the way, they're going to do it. The Undisputed Era right here.
Well, okay, pause. Hold on a second. Let's just stop it right there for a minute. Let's talk about this name for a second. You know,
what name?
They call them the Undisputed Era. What they're not even undisputed anymore. They lose like every month, every week.
They're the faces of NXT.
They could be the faces all they want. Be called the Face Era or something, but they're not undisputed.
They're pretty undisputed. You can't dispute them.
Yeah, but pretty undisputed, not undisputed. Carry
They
on.
have,
I just wanted to make
matchups
sure,
every week.
just
All
throwing
right?
it out there.
You know, right now Kyle
It'll be
O'Reilly,
match of the year era or something, but not under.
Cool Kyle is on my television screen right now.
Still hasn't won.
Finn Balor.
Yeah,
Taking
but has
on,
Cool Kyle won the champion? Cool Kyle's not champion Kyle. He's just Cool Kyle.
he's cool. He's cool. You can't argue
Yeah,
that.
Cool will get you so far. Cool will get you an action figure, but Cool's not gonna
He's got a couple
get
action
you to the
figures.
next level. It's not gonna get you in the main event other than just whenever they need someone to job out to Finn Balor.
He's on the main event teaming with
To
Finn Balor.
job out to Finn Balor for the third time, I'm sure.
Oh my goodness. All right,
Am I
moving
wrong?
on. Undisputed Era defeated Breezango, another popular team of mine, favorite team of
Wow,
mine.
so Breezango's out already?
They were eliminated first round. That's right.
Oh. And when they were more just recently tag champs, right?
And they had a brief run with the titles, lost them to the current tag team champions, Oni Lorcan and Danny Burch,
Okay.
who are facing Finn and Kyle right now as we're recording this.
And this is the tournament match or no?
No, this is just straight match.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right. Next up, we had Kushida and Leon Ruff, who had a brief run with the North American Championship recently, taking on The Way, the team of Johnny Gargano and Austin Theory. Kushida actually pinned the champion, the North American champion, Johnny Gargano. That was his second pinfall. So congrats to him. Potential number one contender very soon. Possibly at the next takeover, maybe next special event.
Or the North American title or for the world title?
North American.
Okay.
Then we had the great team of Everrise taking on the Grizzled Young Veterans. Grizzled Young Veterans from England took the victory here. Not a big surprise. They were the first NXT UK tag team champions over there. So since they've been over here, they've been winning. And did you hear we got a new tag team?
No. Oh, yes. Wait.
MSK, formerly known as the Rascals in Impact Wrestling, excuse me.
Sounds familiar.
2/3 of that group signed with NXT late last month, I want to say.
Okay.
And they made their debut in the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic, kind of a surprise out of nowhere. We don't know what MSK means, but that's their team name.
MSK. Okay, not
they
BKM or whatever the Road Dogg and them did back in the day.
No, they did defeat Jake Atlas and Isaiah Swerve Scott to advance. Over on 205 Live, we actually had Austin Gray and Kurt Stallion, who I believe are more like 205 Live competitors, take on the team of Drake Maverick and Killian Dane. Drake Maverick and Killian Dane advanced. Killian Dane is not under 205 Live, so under 205 pounds.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I don't know what he was.
They gave him a pass on that one, I'm sure.
Drake Maverick, I guess, got him in there. So.
Yeah, right.
Then we had the team of Grand Metalik and Lindsay Dorado, Lucha House Party, who's been kind of almost a regular now in NXT, even though they're still showing up on Raw.
Okay.
Take on the team of Imperium, Fabian Eichner and Marcel Bartel. Lucha House Party kind of picked up the upset here.
Oh, wow.
Because Imperium's kind of a big deal over in the UK, but they lost out to Lucha House Party there. And then we had over, once again, 205 Live, the Bollywood Boys, taking on Legado del Fantasma. Fantasma ended up winning that one. So,
so you mentioned your tag teams earlier. Is this not including Thatcher or you just mentioned the match?
I'm sorry, I missed one more match.
Okay. Yeah.
We did kind of talk about it off the air. Tommaso Ciampa and Timothy Thatcher had a phenomenal fight pit match a couple of weeks ago. Very brutal. Thatcher ended up getting the victory. However, there was an injury of two of the team members or one of the team members of another team. I forgot who was originally in that spot. But ultimately, there was kind of a little bit of respect there between Thatcher and Ciampa after that fight pit. They went over to 205 Live to take on Arya Daivari and Tony Nese, and they have advanced to the second round, the semifinals. So
I would say, just based on some of the teams you mentioned there, maybe that's a dark horse team. Maybe kind of, we don't know. Maybe they're I mean, they kind of are over their series of matches against one another. Maybe we do kind of see them be a tag team. We did kind of mention them. I mentioned at least Ciampa a few weeks ago as someone who I think can maybe have a solo title at the end of the year. I think maybe I had him in the North American title mix or something like that. He's not someone who will probably be leaving the NXT programming. So this seems right, gives him something to do. That way he's not lost in the shuffle or, just lost in the shuffle in the singles mix, at least for the time being. So I think this works out, gives him a purpose and gives him a good story to continue on with Thatcher here kind of going forward. So.
Absolutely. And I believe we got to hit to a quick commercial break. Before we do that, though, I will say MSK did defeat Drake Maverick and Killing Dane on the most recent edition of NXT. So now MSK will be moving forward. And also the team of, Kushida and Leon Ruff lost to the Grizzled Young Veterans. So some interesting matchups there. But when we return, we're going to talk more Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic and much more right here on Beyond the Ropes. We are 22S Radio. 22S Radio is 22smedia.com and 88.1 FM, KKJZ HD3, Long Beach, Los Angeles. Welcome back to Beyond the Ropes, episode 127. Oh, this is interesting. Currently watching NXT and Finn Balor and the Undisputed Era kind of signing side by side.
Look, Ethan, I told you already. Undisputed Era is no longer undisputed. They're desperate, and they need a real winner. So why not go with the NXT champion to kind of carry the way? Cool, Kyle can't beat him. So who could beat Finn Balor? Nobody. So if you can't beat him, join him. That's exactly what I think the Undisputed Era is doing. After this tournament, they're dumping Cole, kicking him to the curb. Like I told you again a few weeks ago on the show where we made end of the year predictions on who we think champions will be. I think Adam Cole is going to go solo. I think maybe an Intercontinental title run maybe at the end of 2021 for Adam Cole. But I don't think he's going to be tying his shoes, his boots, lacing them up any longer, whatever, for this Undisputed Era who's not undisputed. He's getting out of town. The backstab is going to happen during the tournament.
You can follow me on Twitter at EthanMV95. You can follow James at
JHW Reporter, and I can give you Ethan's Instagram there.
And you can follow Rob at
Rob Flores Media.
And you can follow the show's Twitter account at RealBTR Radio. Of course, Facebook.com/Beyond the Ropes and YouTube to search up Beyond the Ropes.
And if you missed our Royal Rumble predictions at all, we will have those there. If you want to go ahead and look back and see what happened at the Royal Rumble, and see how we did with our predictions compared to the Royal Rumble, that will be available. And you can see how right I really was.
Very pleased with the winners of this year's Royal Rumble.
Are you sure about that?
No, I'm not sure. Because
we're unfortunately not sure because you never know what you're going to get. And someone who has a chance, we don't want to give any spoilers on the Rumble here, but there's this blue chip we talked about earlier in the show, young Bill Goldberg,
That's right.
He had another title shot. And, I went into the NXT, not NXT, the WWE app, which or network, which may not be around for much longer, apparently.
Nope, you got 2 months.
We got 2 months. So I went on there, just for the last few times clicking on that app. And, I watched the Goldberg streak. Was that part of the Chronicle series? I believe so. And it was interesting to kind of go back into that time machine. That was kind of when I was in high school. No, not elementary or middle school. I guess just elementary school. Goldberg went on the streak initially back in the day with his first run. And I kind of do remember they did fudge the numbers there after, the counting the streak. And then the streak just kind of went bananas. And then he went from like 50 wins to 100 wins or whatever over like 2 weeks. And it's like, how many matches does the man have in 2 weeks?
He totally had 173 victories. What are you talking about?
I mean, he did, but, put him on the network if he, if they really happened. But
they didn't happen.
But so they did fudge the numbers, so it was good to kind of see how they did that and how things ended up, and his thoughts on the streak ending and Scott Hall coming in with the cattle prod and how they wanted to use a taser instead, and so him losing to Kevin Nash, what happened with that, the match with Hogan, for a lot of the negativity that is thrown Hogan's way for him usually being put over in every match. Goldberg is actually very thankful for what someone like a DDP and a Hogan did for him back in the day, giving him good matches, putting him over in certain situations. So I think that was kind of cool, and it kind of reminds you of who Goldberg was or what he's about if you weren't around back in the day when he was on his run as a blue chip back in the day. And very interesting. Go ahead and watch and see his reaction to how that Hogan match came together with him and Bill Goldberg back in '96 or '97. I don't know, a long time ago. Speaking of other blue chips and prospects, you have Bianca Belair, who also had her own Chronicle episode on the network, and I found that to be very informative. And you learn quite a bit about it. Go ahead.
She liked your tweet.
She did like my tweet. We're just a couple verified Twitter accounts liking each other's tweets and stuff. That's exactly why you should follow me at JHW Reporter, because I'm better than Cool Kyle. I'm cooler than Cool Kyle.
Don't think you get that many likes.
It don't matter how many likes you get, but it's who's liking.
Kind of does. Well, he gets likes from a bunch of other wrestlers. So continue.
Anyways, but good point. Yeah. So I did tweet out, just kind of giving kudos to Bianca Belair. She did like the tweet. Obviously for her to sit there and be very open and honest about her journey and struggle along the way to kind of get to where she is now. She's not someone who grew up wanting to be a pro wrestler, but she's very good in the ring. She talked about her journey as a track star and overcoming some of the eating disorders and the pressures and the stress that she felt to be an elite athlete like she was at track and field, getting a full ride scholarship to South Carolina. And then, some of her struggles took place in which she had to go over to the University of Tennessee. She's originally from Knoxville, Tennessee, I believe, or Nashville, maybe. She's from Tennessee. So yeah, very interesting story. I'm not going to break it all down here, but a lot, I learned a lot about Bianca Belair, and I was obviously rooting for her in the Rumble and was rooting for her prior based on some of the things that Ethan had told me before, like how she makes her ring gear and stuff like that. So a lot of that's talked about in the documentary episode. Or the WWE Chronicles episode. So go ahead and check that out. That one, the Bill Goldberg one, are highly recommended by me. Ethan, I believe you had a suggestion as well as something folks may want to. Oh, the AJ Styles one was pretty good too. But go ahead. I think you had a recommendation as well.
Mm-hmm. So this past week was an anniversary, the 1-year anniversary since the Rated R Superstar Edge returned. Of course, we've talked about Edge a number of times since he's come back. The iconic moment at the Rumble last year in 2020 before the world kind of fell apart. But it was kind of time stood still. Edge made his return at the Rumble after 9 years, having been forced to retire. They released the WWE 24 special, Edge, the Second Mountain, it's called. I rewatched that last week, and it was just as good as I remembered it. Chronicles his comeback, which it wasn't originally supposed to. He mentioned it at the beginning, how this kind of documentary was supposed to be about life after wrestling, not his comeback, and it transitioned while they were filming, basically how he ultimately became his comeback. And that's kind of really cool how things could change in an instant like that.
Right. I think that's pretty cool, and I'll have to go back and watch that one. And I think, I mentioned AJ Styles as well. His episode kind of talks about him making his debut in WWE at the Royal Rumble, coming in that way, and what led up to that, and his thoughts on his time with Impact Wrestling or TNA at the time. Samoa Joe's interviewed in that. There's some others who were interviewed, but hearing Samoa Joe's take on it, being good friends with AJ Styles from Impact, TNA, and even beyond that, on the independent scene. So very interesting. And I think I've watched maybe most of those, but since a lot of this episode has been about the network and the content on there, another series I've been interested in, and I'm blanking on what the series is called, but they do a lot of where they break down matches. So there's been one on the Undertaker and Mankind kind of rivalry, but Untold, yes. And then they kind of break it down, and they break down their Hell in a Cell match, or the Hell in a Cell match they have with Shawn Michaels, Kane, which is the debut of Kane, but it's Undertaker and Shawn Michaels in that match. You also have the Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels. I believe there's like Eddie Guerrero, JBL.
Yeah, I believe
I think is maybe one of them, but I watched all those, and those are great. I think Sting has maybe his thing, I think, with Rollins on there. Yeah, so those are cool. So go ahead and watch those. Obviously, the ones I haven't watched, the one I believe with Drew McIntyre or Bailey, but the Stone Cold podcast episodes are great as well.
Mm-hmm. There's also a new series, WWE Icons, which started with Yokozuna, that premiered after the network.
What is this? So it's out already, or
it came out last night at the Rumble, after the Rumble.
Okay, right.
WWE Icons, which I would assume kind of breaks down certain wrestlers' careers. Maybe I know they're doing one of Beth Phoenix. The first one was Yokozuna. There's a few other wrestlers that have been announced already. I haven't seen it yet, so I can't say obviously what it's about specifically, but I'm sure it breaks down kind of their legacies over the years.
And another thing, I don't know if you've seen this. I wouldn't be able to pull up the tweet now unless I really started looking for it. But did you see maybe some of the topics that have been kind of, I don't know if they've been leaked or put out on what is the series, the Vice one?
Oh,
what is that series called again?
Dark Side of the Ring.
Dark Side of the Ring, where they came out, I think, with what the season 3 episodes are going to be.
They're doing a Brian Pillman episode.
Yeah, there's like a Brian Pillman episode, but they weren't all that great. Like, just like the topics.
I didn't see the rest of them. But I know there was a Brian Pillman because his son got interviewed for it.
Yeah, I believe like a Brian Pillman one. I mean, there are some good ones, but they're not ones that you're like, I wonder about. I think one of them was that MTV wrestling show they tried to do. I forget what it was called, but I think X-Pac was on it. There's some on there, but it's overall, it didn't seem very impressive. I know they'll do a good job, so I feel like for some of the topics, I'm like, I don't know if I want to watch this or whatever. I'll probably learn some stuff from. So I'm open to watching them. I'm just not excited to watch them at the moment. But I mean, it's hard to follow the second season, which was Owen Hart, Chris Benoit, some of those other topics. So I mean, it's kind of hard for them to kind of go off of that. But do you have something there, Ethan?
Yeah. So there's 14 episodes, which is more. We did get confirmation that the Loose Cannon joins Darkseid for season 3.
Okay.
That was announced. Steve Austin has been interviewed.
Okay, which makes sense.
Steve Austin, so that's a big
team partner, Hollywood Blondes.
That's right. So in terms of like the other shows, I have not seen anything right now. But I did want to mention Sting is returning to the ring or in a match in AEW. Of course, he made his AEW debut a month and a half ago now. And he will be teaming up with Darby Allin to take on Team Taz of Ricky Starks and Brian Cage, in a street fight. But I'm hearing it's going to be like a cinematic match. That's going to happen at Revolution, which is the next AEW pay-per-view. Just have to put that in.
What do we think about
I don't want to see it.
Sting, but just about Sting and Darby Allin, and obviously, there's some similarities there. I guess you can maybe call it a passing of the torch, but do you kind of like where they're going with it? I've seen some AEW episodes where they're kind of coming out together. They got the snow going and all that other stuff. I think it's cool. I think they go well together. But again, it's just kind of like Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard. Like they're just managers. Like, I mean, you say Sting's gonna get in the ring, so that's a start. But I don't know. Do we want to see Sting wrestle in 2021?
I don't.
You don't? I kind of. Some guys, I mean, I don't know.
Okay.
So Sting had a great send off with WWE. He didn't win any of his matches. He only had 2 matches with them, 2 or 3. I don't think he won any of them.
No.
So I don't know. Yeah, sure, he gets some wins at AEW, but is he gonna put butts in the seats? I don't know. I mean, not anytime soon if it's with the pandemic. I know they are opening. They have done it. They do have people at Impact at AEW shows and whatnot. If we talked about WrestleMania, for example, if we want to talk about butts and seats,
I'm looking up Dark Side right now.
Okay, he's looking up Dark Side. I don't think I was here last week. I don't know if we talked about it prior.
WrestleMania is happening.
WrestleMania is officially out of LA, not coming back until what?
We lost it.
We did. We fumbled it. I mean, it's not our fault.
It's 2 years from now, though. We still get it back.
It's 2 years from now.
It's fine.
I just don't know where I'm gonna be in 2 years.
We're gonna be at WrestleMania in 2 years. All right.
I mean, am I gonna get credentials? That's what I want to know.
Yeah.
Or do I need to start saving my money for these tickets? That's what I want to know.
I'm saving up money. I want to do everything. But anyways, it is going to be in Tampa, Florida this year at Raymond James Stadium. It's going to be over 2 nights, Saturday and Sunday.
Awesome. Yeah.
Next year, it's going to be back in Houston at the Astrodome. No,
the Astrodome got torn down. It's the whatever Jerry Jones' stadium is called, Dallas, where the Cowboys play.
And it returns WrestleMania 39 back to Inglewood, California, of course.
Yeah, the SoFi Stadium. Would have been great to get it in the first year, to have WrestleMania in the new stadium the first year. I've been trying to get into the stadium, boys, on the first year of it being open.
Come on, James, do it.
With the pandemic, it didn't work out. It wasn't in the cards.
All right, some dark side episodes here. Brian Pillman, XPW, which was kind of
that's the one I was talking about, I think.
Continuation. I know some stuff happened there. The WCW New Japan event in North Korea. That's interesting. I don't know much about it. I don't know. Yeah. The Smith family, Grizzly Smith and his children, Jake Roberts.
Oh, yeah, right.
And Rockin' Robin.
Which is going to be kind of interesting. I mean, Rockin' Robin and Jake Snake are still alive. I think Grizzly passed away not too long ago, I think. But I may be wrong. I think he did pass away. But I mean, you could do a whole episode on Jake the Snake, but we've kind of seen that with the DDP documentary already and the DDP yoga stuff.
Yeah. Nick Gage is another. Nick Gage. I'm not sure who that is.
It sounds. Is that? No, that was Garrison Cage or whatever. Who is it? Who was with Murdoch?
No, that's different.
Trevor Murdoch. Who was he?
That's a different. That's a different guy, I think.
He's the one who passed away young, though. I think he, not him though.
No, I don't think so. I could be wrong though.
What is the guy's name again? Who's the show about?
Gage.
Nick Cage.
Gage.
Okay, not Nicolas Cage. All right. No.
FMW in Japan. Don't know what that is.
That's what I'm saying. I don't.
And the late Bruiser Bedlam.
See, I don't know.
Yeah, so some of those aren't all the episodes. I don't think they still have more to announce.
Yeah. And I don't know how many of those are confirmed or what, but again, that's the list I saw, and I was kind of like, okay, a Pillman one, cool. But outside of that, I'm just like, it's not doing a whole lot for me. But I think the Pillman one could be good. I mean, you can have Austin, you can have maybe Bret Hart. Obviously the only Hart Foundation member that's still alive. Unfortunately, you can have the son on there, Brian Pillman Jr. You can have maybe Davey Boy Smith's son on there. Maybe, I don't know. I'm not sure what the wife is doing. I don't know.
Yeah. So,
but I know it'll be good stuff. But I don't think any of those have been like announced as like a 2-hour one or anything like Owen
Not
Hart's
yet.
was.
It's still early, so.
Oh no, Owen Hart's wasn't even 2 hours. Owen Hart's was 1 hour, but the Benoit one was 2
The
hours.
Benoit was a season premiere with a 2-hour.
That's what I'm saying. It's just gonna be hard to beat. It's gonna be they're free. I mean, I think they're free. Or maybe I sign up with like the DirecTV thing on the app, but you go watch them. But watch that series. It's good stuff.
We've got a minute left. Anything else we want to wrap up here?
Obviously, we don't want to give any spoilers here, but we know who won the Royal Rumble. And so we, the road to WrestleMania has begun. So obviously we're going to be talking about that, on the next few episodes, kind of going forward from here on out.
On the fast lane to WrestleMania soon.
We're on the fast lane to WrestleMania.
Getting there.
Yeah.
March.
Do we have an elimination chamber in between?
We also have an elimination chamber in between, I believe. So, but Fastlane will be the first event on Peacock, which is coming up very, in the next 2 months. I believe elimination chamber is next month, so we still got some time there.
And just real quick, we only have a few seconds, but I just want to throw out that I've enjoyed so far the Kofi Kingston, who's nursing an injury at home, and his storyline so far with Ali. I think that's been pretty good. I think how they kind of come full circle with that. Check that out if you haven't already. The good stuff.
All right, and we'll talk about that more next week. Until next time, this episode has been absolutely too sweet.
See you later, boys. Have a good one.